My name is Dara Wilson, and this is the Persuasion speech. I was 17 when I found out I was pregnant, and I had the baby before I even turned 18. I had just been out of rehab for 3 months and was trying to learn how to be a normal teenager again. I went from being a wild partying child to having to learn how to grow up within 9 months of being an adult. I was still a child, and I had to raise a child. I was just trying to blend back in with my friends and try to be back in the same social circle I was before rehab, and it didn't work out. It got me in more trouble than it did good. My mom stood by me the whole time, and she still does now. My son is 15 months old, and I wish I'd waited 10 more years, but I don't have that choice to go back and change it. But I wouldn't change it for the world. My best friend Maddie has also helped me, and she is still here today helping me whenever she gets a chance. It's a load off to know that I have people to count on. The rest of my support group includes my brother and his fiance, who come over at least once, or try to come over at least once a week, and then my boyfriend, who's been there since he was 3 months old and is now taking over the supportive role of father. Most teenagers aren't as lucky as me to have such a huge support group. Even a little bit of a support group would be nice. It's very hard to take care of a child when you're a teenager, especially if you're on your own, as I used to be. It's hard to go to school, it's hard to get back in your social circle, and it's very hard to try to be a kid when you have to be an adult and take care of this little infant in your arms. Raising a baby is a huge responsibility, financially, and it's also emotionally and physically tiring. If I could go and talk to every female in the world, I would tell them that they should wait to have a baby until they're married and use protection every single time. I used to be one of those girls who thought I could never get pregnant, but apparently I was wrong. Even though I was on birth control, which was the pill, which has a 5% failure rate, I still got pregnant. It can happen to anybody, and it happened to me. The failure rate of birth control pills is 5%, but it's only if used correctly. If you don't take it at the same time every single day, then you can easily get pregnant. That's why everybody should use a condom when they have sex, but most teenagers nowadays don't, which results in unexpected pregnancies. The American Pregnancy Association says that currently teenagers think that birth control is the only thing that they need to use to stay unpregnant, but it's not. There's condoms, there's spermicides, there's many other things. The best thing to do is stay abstinence, but of course, that's not going to happen. The following on the left side is a graph from W.W. Norton and Company Incorporated, and it illustrates the teen pregnancy outcomes. Up here is the 16% of fetal losses, which results in girls not getting the proper prenatal care they need because they're too afraid to tell family and friends that they can't afford it. Over here is a 28% of induced abortions, and most girls will think about abortion, but as said here, only 28% will result to it, and that's when they think that'll be better than raising a child, or they think it'll be easier than raising a child for them and their family and friends. Over here is a 56% of live births. Now this is just live births, it's not if they keep the baby or if they give it for adoption. Most teenagers will think about giving it for adoption, but most try it on their own first. On the right is from Vision Focus Group, and it illustrates the birth rate for teenagers in the 5 top states that have the most pregnancy rates, and then the national overall. Down here in the low 30s, it started in 97, it was almost 30, and this is per 1,000, so it's 30,000 females were getting pregnant as teenagers. But over the years it's gone down to 06, that has gone down to less than 20. That is in New Hampshire. Up here in Maryland, it has gone down a little bit over the years, but it has come back up. But it has stayed between 40,000 and 50,000. The same with Virginia. The national has been above 50,000, and over the years it has gone down to about 47,000 since 2006. Now, North Carolina was kind of a jumpy start. It stayed pretty even, then it went up, and then it went down and out. And then your top is Tennessee, which has gone down over the years, but it's starting to raise back up. Most People would think that in small towns you would have low pregnancy rates, but in fact it's the quite opposite. When you are in smaller towns, you're confined to that one little area, and you're more likely to get pregnant as a teenager in small towns than you are in bigger towns. If more teenagers were being careful, my doctor, or a doctor that I know from Community North, Dr. Jane Ertl, says that by 2020, the rate would be down by half. There are many financial responsibilities for raising a child. My delivering doctor, Dr. David Ensley, said that an average rate that you would spend within just the first year is $520,000. You have to buy a crib, usually a bouncer and a swing, sometimes a high chair, and unless you want to wait till they get older, and that's when you use the bouncer. You have to buy food, bottles, diapers, wipes. There's so many things, the list goes on and on and on. And then you have to think about, is the baby going to need sensitive diapers and wipes or not? And if you need sensitive, then it goes up. Or a cloth diaper. Some people think it goes down, but if you don't wash them, you keep buying cloth diapers, the price is even higher. Now, financially, if you didn't have a baby, you'd be able to spend that money on yourself. You'd be able to go out. You'd be able to, if you're a girl, get your nails done. If you're a guy, you can go hang out with your friends, take girls on dates, whatever you want to do. But having a baby, basically all your money is spent on that baby. Emotionally, you're always tired. Especially if you're a single parent, you can get really, really depressed being on your own taking care of a child. You don't see your friends as much. You usually don't hang out with the old crowd because they think that you're too much of a burden now having a baby, and you can't go out and do the same things you wanted to do. You can't go out at 10 or 11 o'clock at night anymore to go hang out with your friends until 3 or 4 in the morning. You just can't do it. So you lose friends. You're up almost every 2 to 3 hours taking care of the baby, and you're feeding it, and you're changing its diaper, and you're putting it to sleep, and you're rocking it, and you're playing with it, and you're talking to it. You have to give it so much affection. About 98% of your time, once you have a baby, is concentrating on that baby. And you get the rest of the 2%, which isn't much. Now, if you didn't have a baby, depending on what your parents' rules were, you could go out whenever you wanted, hang out with your friends until whatever time you wanted. It's a total different story. And then physically, your body hurts. You have all these hormonal changes that are going through you. You are up and down emotionally, and then that takes out on your family and friends, which makes your social circle even worse. Sometimes you feel like you don't want to get out of bed in the morning because you're so tired, your body just hurts. You're carrying around a child all the time, and it's just hard. Now, if you didn't have a baby, you wouldn't have any of those problems. So, getting the chance of having a baby and having not, I'm sure you would choose not to have a baby. I may have shown that having a child can sometimes be joyful because you get to play with them and you get to watch them grow up, but when you first start out, especially as a teenager, it's hard. It's very hard. Emotionally, you're down half the time. Physically, you hurt. And financially, you're always broke. If you don't have a support group, it's very hard to do it on your own. And if you don't have a guy around to help you, or if you're a guy, you don't have a girl around to help you and you're on your own, it's a very low chance of you being able to do it. Unless you have support, it's very hard to do anything such as school, have a social life, go to work. Most teenagers will drop out of school. I know many that I went to school and dropped out of school. So if you want a college life or you want to do something with your life, don't have a baby until you're ready. I would tell every teenage female that I saw, I would go to schools, I would give lectures, I would do just about everything to try to get kids to have protected sex so they're not having babies. The pregnancy rate keeps going up and up and up, and some kids don't get the prenatal care they need, which results in the death of the baby. Some people get abortions, which ends the baby's life, and some kids have to get up to adoption, and sometimes if you get up for adoption at the last minute, that baby goes into a foster home, and for years it may not go into a home. It's not fair on the child to be raised in one parent household, but sometimes it has to be done. I love my son to death, but if I could, I would have waited 10 more years before I had him.